Everybody wants to talk about patriotism, patriotic American socialism. Well, the funny thing is that everybody is, got their view about it. Others certainly more nuanced than others. I think my position should be very clear on this. There should be no patriotism in the imperialist countries. That's the United States, Canada, Australia. Now, not just imperialist, but colonial occupier states, which would also include Israel. Now, the idea is if you just say you love your country enough times, then people who disagree with you on politics in those countries will suddenly agree with you. And then you're going to convert to socialism somehow. Even though all of socialist experience, all socialist victories, all socialist failures prove this to be wrong. It's based on one fundamentally false premise, and that is that the First World has any revolutionary potential. There are small pockets which do have revolutionary potential, but the First World countries, the advanced countries, have never been revolutionary. And I could make the same argument that I've made 1,000 times before, about history always telling us the opposite of what it is that these so-called American patriots, but are socialists, claim. The fact is, all material reality and all of revolutionary history proves the opposite of what they claim. Now, here's the problem. We love America, and we're all about America. This all comes down to one issue, I believe. And that is opposing decolonialism. And that's exactly what this is about. They have absolutely no desire to give the land back to indigenous, no desire to give rightful land reparations to African Americans. And that is wholly what this is about, is avoiding that. Well, they say they love America. And that's why they want it to be better, to be socialism, etc. Let me tell you something. A socialist America wouldn't even be America. The Soviet Union wasn't even feudal Russia. It was completely different. But there are differences. America, no matter what you try to claim, no matter what vision that you try to put forward for the future, there is no America without the genocide of native peoples and the genocide of Africans in the slave trade. You might be able to argue that the U.S. could have economically developed without slavery. Theoretically, it's possible. It's a moot point because it didn't. America itself cannot exist without land theft. It cannot exist without genocide. If those things had not happened, there would be no America. It is the fundamental basis for the existence of the country. And no amount of angry denial or promoting some kind of utopian vision of what it is that you want America to be will change that. This is tantamount to saying that, well, if we just took Hitler and put him in a better context, then everything would be okay. No, and yes, I am comparing America to Hitler, because Hitler wishes he could kill as many people as the United States has. You don't get this. There is no good version of America. America itself is fundamentally founded on, frankly, evil. Genocide, unrestrained self-interest. It's literally founded on capitalism. If you read the Constitution, it is. It doesn't explicitly say capitalism, but everything in there is about capitalism, about doing away with feudal notions of property ownership, etc. Removing God, i.e., feudal land relations and feudal concepts of land and property ownership, are abolished. Nothing is going to change that. There is no good America. There is no your view of America that's better, because your view, your socialist view of America, isn't America at all. That's not even America. It can't be socialist America because it's not America at all. It has nothing to do with it. Just like I said, with Tsarist Russia has nothing to do with the Soviet Union. The difference being, Russians are in Russia. America is land theft. You cannot separate that. You cannot just turn around and say, okay, we'll make like a kind of utopian socialist America where that no longer happens. Well, the land theft is still there. And until you tackle decolonization and admit that the land was stolen and return it to the people who are there, and they can make whatever deal it is they want to with African Americans, etc., you will not fundamentally address what America is. You cannot promote a socialist America. The concept is ridiculous. Because America itself cannot be socialist. You would have to remove America, everything that it is, everything that it ever was, everything that it has ever done, and build anew. And that wouldn't be America anymore. So there is no patriotic Americanism. There is no patriotic socialist Americanism. It doesn't make any sense. It's nothing more than a platitude by... Let's be honest, this is a white middle class thing. It is. Go down into the deep sections of the black lumpen. The places that are actually revolutionary. Some of the poorest of the poor black, the poorest of the poor white, and the fourth world, aka Native Americans. You go down into the black culture, the deep black lumpen, and none of them like America. They hate America. You go to the same thing. So some of the deepest, most oppressed, exploited, just impoverished white people, Appalachia, trailer trash, etc., and you will find a percentage that do not want America, that do not like America. A lot of them do, because they hold on to a utopian vision of what America is. And now I know you go down into Native Americans, you go down into the reservations, and you will not find any patriotism there. They despise America. They don't want America to exist at all. And these are the groups with the actual revolutionary potential in America. And they don't even want America to exist. This patriotic Americanism, this patriotic American socialism, exists only in the white middle class. It only exists as privileged people on the internet, people making a lot of money off of internet stuff. It is a white middle class thing. Because when you go down to who has the revolutionary potential, it's not there. They despise the idea. This is a white middle class social media circle jerk for the most part. Because the real lumpen, the real revolutionary potential in the first world, and trust me, some guy on Reddit calling people names is not revolutionary. What I do isn't even revolutionary. I just promote the revolutionary line. But this idea, all of it, this patriotic socialist Americanism, is all in opposition to decolonialism. And that's the real heart of the issue here. There is no good America. What America is not something that should be saved. It is something that should be abolished. The whole point of the term radical and radicalism is to go to the roots. And the roots of America are slavery and genocide, of which the country does not exist without. Because that's the foundation, that's what it is, that's the roots of what America is. Always has been, always will be, because that's what happened. You have to dig that up, remove it, and build anew. And that building anew, even if it's some utopian first worldist idea of what socialism is, not only would it not happen, because first world people generally are not revolutionary at all, no matter how angry they get, no matter how screwed over they get, they're still not going to do revolution. Like I said, you'll see a race war before that happens. You'll see complete economic devastation and even you'll see global warming destroy the planet before that ever happens. Because it's not in the interest of first world people to actually go to do revolution, because they don't want a new system. Maybe you, in your online social circle, want revolution. But are you really going to do it? Is the average everyday American going to do it? And the answer is no, they won't do it. Lenin already refuted this idea of the advanced countries, saying that they will go into fascism. People love to quote Lenin on just about everything. Except on this, because it goes against first worldist ideology. They will tend towards fascism. What do you think Trump is? Trump is that demagoguery, fascist demagoguery. That is what the first world tends towards, what the advanced countries. Lenin didn't use the term first world because there was no first and third world yet. But that's what it tends towards. Then people like to quote Lenin on his letter to the workers in 1917, 1918. Well, I got some news for you. We don't live in 1917, 1918. Okay? It was more than 100 years ago. The world has massively changed since then. And everybody says, well, we got to update it for the Americanism, but then go to something like that, which almost has no relevance whatsoever to this time, and tout that. In order to support this, their idea of a new socialism in America, they have to continually dig up things from the past in order to support it. That's not revolutionary science. To support this idea of a new this socialist patriotic America is to be anti-dialectical, because it ignores the roots of what it is that America was born out of, what it is. And the main thing they complain about is that you're not going to get people onto the side of socialism by making them hate their fellow Americans. Well, you see, the problem with that statement is you don't have to hate your fellow Americans. You really don't have to. You have to hate America. You're not going to get those people on your side for a revolution anyway. It's not going to happen. The only people you're going to find for that are in the extremely ghettoized black communities, First Nations people, and some of the worst in the very, very lumpen, often referred to as trailer park trash kind of Appalachian area. That's not a good thing to call them, but for the sake of trying to explain who it is I'm talking about, that's the point. There's a reason why the redneck revolt, which people love to just chant up there as revolutionary potential in America, didn't come from no middle-class whites arguing against decolonization. They came from the real deep down salt of the earth people. They didn't come from the middle-class opposing decolonialism nonsense. The fact is, decolonialism, the argument for decolonialism has won. And a lot of these social media people can't accept that, because it goes against their interests. Because they have, to maintain America is to maintain their privileged position, not just within America itself as being middle-class whites, but as being extremely privileged in the world. I hate to break it to you, but I mean, America really is the richest country in the world. And not only that, even with everything that's wrong with America, the living standard in America is astronomically higher than it is in the third and second world. And you know it's higher than the fourth world. And decolonization would completely destroy that. And it's not in their interest to do so. These Marxists who oppose decolonization, they literally are anti-revolutionary. Not just from a theoretical standpoint of decolonization, but from a material standpoint as well, because they refuse to dismantle that system that built up imperialism in America. And this goes for Canada and Australia as well, because all these countries were born out of land theft. And the killings were to different degrees, but all three of the countries do not exist without land theft. And that is the one thing that these patriotic American socialists do not want to confront. Their own privilege and their material benefit from being a part of that empire. whether that be American, Canadian, or Australian. And that's the truth. That's why American patriotism, American socialist patriotism, doesn't make any sense. And not only does it not make any sense, it's outright reactionary, because it serves to defend and continue the empire by presenting some utopian view of it that can't exist, that materially has nothing to do with what America is. Now, I hope I've made myself clear on that. Now, I could also go into the history of the term death to America and what it politically meant around the world, but that would just get marked as supporting terrorism. So I'm not going to go into that, because YouTube can't handle an honest discussion on anything. And I'm saying straight out, I don't endorse terrorism at all. But YouTube will take it that way. So let me just end this by saying, there is no good America. America at its fundamental core, its being, its birth, its life, and eventually its death, will be evil. It is evil. Colonization is evil. Settler colonial projects are evil. And that goes for Israel as well. I mean, if you could really legitimately defend Israel as a state right now, there's something really wrong with you. And there will not be any socialism in any of these places until that fundamental question of decolonization is made, and more importantly, carried out. Thank you for watching. If you like this program, then please head over to my Patreon page and set up a monthly donation. It's your donations that keep this program running. Also, if you would like, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share in various social media.